What if Dobby didn't die at Shell Cottage? What if the knife missed by an inch and Dobby survived? It sounds like a tiny change, but it turns Dobby into the most dangerous player in the entire war. Because he can do something no one else can. He can walk straight into places Voldemort thinks are impossible to reach. And when you have a friend who can teleport past defenses, the entire Horcrux hunt changes. But here's the twist. Dobby becomes a target too. Because Voldemort doesn't start hunting people, he starts hunting house elves. At Shell Cottage, Dobby is lying on the table, blood across his shirt. Everyone thinks it's over. Then he moves. Not much, just one breath that shouldn't exist. Bill swears. Fleur throws a healing spell, and Dobby whispers in a voice that sounds like torn paper.
Dobby is not finished.
At first, Harry thinks it's a miracle, but Hermione realizes something much more unsettling. Dobby has just proven that their most impossible problem might suddenly have a new solution. The trio has had the same problem the entire time: information and access. They know the Horcruxes exist, but they can't just stroll into bank vaults or ministries without the whole world collapsing on top of them. Dobby can. And Hermione does what Hermione always does. She turns emotion into strategy. She says, "Dobby, we don't need you to fight. We need you to bring back details." And the first target is something that feels impossible. Gringotts. Dobby appears in a shadowed corridor inside Gringotts. Not in the vaults, outside them. Because he isn't reckless. He knows goblins have rules of their own, and he does something only a house elf would do. He doesn't look for doors, he looks for people. He follows the sound of keys, the scrape of metal, the smell of coins. He slips between carts, vanishes behind pillars. But when he gets close to the vaults, a barrier hits him, like a wall inside his head. And this matters. Some protections stop elves too. Dobby can't just teleport through everything. But he can do something even better. He can learn how the protection works. He comes back to the trio with one tiny detail. There is a dragon, and a clock of steps, and goblins listen for weight. It's not a map, but it's a key. And later, it saves them precious time. In the original story, Malfoy Manor leaves the group with a hole in it. Trauma, death, fear, no time. Here, it leaves something else. Rage. Dobby survives. And he doesn't just want to help, he wants to make it right. And that makes him more dangerous than ever. Because he's the only one who can move freely. But then the darkest thing happens. Voldemort notices the pattern. Voldemort learns very quickly that someone is getting into places no one should be able to enter. He doesn't think invisibility cloak. He doesn't think luck. He thinks a creature that does not play by our rules. So he starts ordering the Death Eaters to do something they've never cared about before. Track house elves, control them, threaten them, chain them, curse them, bind them with new contracts. And that gives Dobby a completely new role in the story. Not just spy, spark. Dobby does something Harry never could have planned for. He speaks to other house elves, not as a leader, as one of them. and it becomes a secret chain. A whisper in the Hogwarts kitchen. A message hidden in a laundry basket. A coin left beneath a plate. Tiny things, but suddenly, the trio has something they've been missing for the entire war. A network. By the time they return to Hogwarts for the final stretch, they now have two advantages: faster information and faster movement. Dobby can take them through tiny, impossible passages. He can retrieve something from the room of requirement, deliver a message to Neville, move someone to safety without ever stepping into a duel. But here's the truly dangerous part. Dobby might also end up carrying something Voldemort never wanted moved. During the Battle of Hogwarts, Dobby sees someone fall. Not a major plot character, exactly. One of those people fans remember because they feel human. In this version, it's Luna. At the Ravenclaw corridor, everything turns to chaos. Stone trembles, portraits scream, and for one brief second, Harry sees something he never forgets. Luna Lovegood is standing perfectly still in the middle of the wreckage, as if she's listening for a sound no one else can hear. A Death Eater steps out of the smoke, raises a wand, and whispers a curse so softly it barely sounds dangerous. Harry has just enough time to think, Luna, but not enough time to move. Then there's a small pop behind the Death Eater. Dobby is there, blooded, alive, ears shaking, eyes wild. Dobby speaks, fast and furious. Not Luna! Not Dobby's friends! The Death Eater turns, but Dobby doesn't cast some grand dueling spell. He does something much simpler. He rips the wand straight out of the Death Eater's hand with one violent little jerk, like the air itself obeys him. The curse goes off anyway, but it slams into an empty suit of armor and explodes in sparks. Dobby grabs Luna by the wrist. Pop. Gone. They reappear behind a shattered statue near the staircase. Luna blinks, looks down at her hand where Dobby's small fingers are still holding on. Luna speaks, calm as ever. I knew you'd come. You sound like a kind thundercloud. Dobby swallows, like he doesn't know how to receive something gentle in the middle of a war. Dobby speaks. Dobby is secret weapon. And the second Dobby says it, Harry feels the truth of it. Every time Dobby does this, he becomes more visible to the wrong eyes. If Dobby lives, he may save more people than anyone else. But every rescue makes him easier to find. So if Dobby survives, the war doesn't become easy, but it does become sharper, more precise. The Horcrux hunt moves faster because the trio gets better information and better access. The Resistance gains a network through the House Elves. Voldemort is forced to waste resources controlling a group he always despised. And Dobby becomes more than a hero. He becomes a strategic problem for Voldemort. But that also means something darker. More House Elves may end up paying the price, because Dobby refused to stay invisible. So tell me your version. What is the first thing Dobby definitely does? Who does he save? What does he change? And what gets worse because he lived?